Film Diet Podcast.
And then it's just sequel after sequel after sequel.
There was no character development at all.
Just on pure technical levels.
There are filmmakers that don't want it just to be an entertainment experience. Hello and welcome to Media Academy Online's Film Diet Podcast.
You're Dana and I'm Brandon.
Yes.
And today we are doing Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith.
The Sith. You gotta say it like heavy metal.
So let's dive in, shall we?
Film begins. Big battle, big space battle. Some parts look cool. Some parts don't look cool.
It's full on.
Yeah, it's a lot going on.
Visuals were right in your face. But it's weird. It's like some things are looking amazing at this stage. But then other things were like, not quite.
Yeah.
It was this weird mix between video games and looking cool and terrible green screen, compositing and...
Yeah, it's a weird hodgepodge of... It's a weird time, really, isn't it, for CGI?
Yeah. I reckon it was a 6-year-old kid stage at this moment.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure out...
what's best.
Yeah.
How to go about it.
Yeah.
And this whole sequence was supposed to be like 40 minutes. This big space battle was meant to be a huge battle at the start of the film.
Yeah.
They ended up editing it down to like, 10 minutes? 15 minutes? Maybe. That's probably even more than what's there.
Well, I reckon they would have run out of time pretty quick there, though. If they wanted to do that long, the producers would have been on them and said, come on, you got no more time. It's just got to be released.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure how much they actually filmed or animated. I'm not sure about that. I just heard that it was initially supposed to be a massive battle at the start of the film, which would have been, cool in ways and not cool in others.
Yeah.
But anyway, you get a new look at Anakin and, the new look of Obi-Wan. They've still got their banter going on. They've carried on from Attack of the Clones and, they got their little dynamic going on, which is... they're best of friends, but you don't really get a sense that they're good friends because you don't really see that on screen, which has been, that's a big point everyone's kind of made that, if in movies, instead of like telling people things, you should probably show that they're good friends instead of just keeping telling us that they're good friends.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make sense? But anyway, they get on the Star Destroyer. They're going after Senator Palpatine or whatever the fuck his title is at this stage. They're going to rescue him. He's on General Grievous's ship. And General Grievous is a robotic alien man thing. And he's got a cough. He's got asthma. Or he smokes too many bongs. Yeah, so they go on board this ship. And it's funny because you get R2-D2 and he has like a jetpack all of a sudden. And he's shooting out oil and robots are slipping on oil. Then they get lit on fire and then they're blowing up. And it's kind of like, how do robots get lit on fire by oil and blow up? Like, it's all a bit weird and hokey and... get into the little room and then there's, the Palpatine sitting there in his little chair and he's restrained and Obi-Wan and Anakin are like, we can do this. And then Christopher Lee comes down and he's like, time to fight sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yep, we're masters at killing Sith Lords, And then within 2 seconds, fucking Obi-Wan's taken out and like some weird-ass bridge falls on his leg and it looks like it's some of the worst CGI you'll ever see. I'll never forget it. The first time I even saw it, I was like, ooh, that was clunky.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't even know how that got past.
They ran out of time, maybe.
Oh, well, why would you... It's like Obi-Wan Kenobi. You don't fuck around with... one of the main characters and you make him, like some dodgy thing like that happen. It's like, what? It's disrespectful. And then you get Anakin and he gets basically coaxed into killing Christopher Lee, Count Dooku. Count Dooku! And that's how General Grievous talks, if you're wondering.
Yeah. Spot on.
And then, beheads Christopher Lee. So at the start of the film, you get a beheading, 2 lightsabers, bang.
There's a lot of limbs in this getting chopped off.
Yeah, limbs getting chopped off and people dying.
Like it's nothing.
And kids are just sitting there, like, oh, thanks, Dad. I'm glad I'm here watching this. This is great. And Palpatine's clearly turning into Emperor Palpatine here. He's like all, he's looking pretty evil. And he's like, do it. Do it. Kill him. Do it. Yeah.
Not a nice bloke, mate.
Not a nice bloke.
Not a nice thing to do.
And it's weird, like... they're running on the ship and you see Ian McDiarmid, the guy that plays Palpatine, and he's like running and he just looks fucking weird running. Like he shouldn't make an old guy run, like just don't do that, Just doesn't look cool. And anyway, fast forward, they crash land on the Coruscant planet in the ship. Probably killed about 3,000 people in the process. As the ship's like,
As you do.
And they're all cool with that. And
Whatevs.
like Obi-Wan's like, happy landing, sort of thing. And they're all like happy about it.
Yeah.
So that's the intro. And it's like, okay, this film already has problems.
Yep.
And many more to come. But yeah, that's just that intro. And then there's a lot more boring shit going on. There's more Jedi Council meetings, more people, more Samuel Jackson looking bored out of his mind.
Yeah, sitting there.
Yeah, just going, standing there, sitting there, walking there, not doing much. Couple steps here, couple steps there.
Probably like, I want to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Where's my paycheck, George? So you got like Obi-Wan and Anakin, and they're like tensions rising between their little friendship, their mateship, their relationship is kind of getting a bit frayed here. Obi-Wan and Anakin are separating. Padme's doing her Padme stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, I don't know. She's pregnant. He's having nightmares, envisioning her dying. So he's starting to really wig out.
Yep.
And he's getting all to desperate measures. So he's really running to Palpatine character for... Instead of Obi-Wan, he should be running to, but he's running to Palpatine for support.
Guidance.
And Palpatine's sort of, giving him breadcrumbs and, all that sort of thing. And sort of warping his perspective.
Yeah.
And
his reality.
Yeah, which is sort of clashing with Padme's views. Mm-hmm. So every time he meets Padme, they're like, they're sort of just... Tensions are rising. No one's happy. Yeah. It's not happening, War's starting to break out, I think. It's called Star Wars, so war has been breaking out. You got clone troopers, you got the Republic starting to take over the galaxy, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Going after General Grievous. Yoda appoints him to go after Grievous, and Grievous is a pretty cool design. The alien robot design. He's got like a cough, asthma cough. Apparently that was in the comic book or something that was set before this, or the Clone Wars cartoon. I think he gets force choked, and apparently that's why he's coughing a lot in this film, which is weird. Like, why would you have something that happens in like something that probably 1% of people have seen or read, and then have this weird character coughing? But it's kind of like, I guess, reminiscent to Darth Vader, like the whole breathing, having trouble breathing or coughing or whatever the fuck. So it's like, this galaxy, they really do need some Ventolin, I think. Yeah.
Some cough lollies.
Yeah, it's one resource that they have.
Soothers.
Yeah. Lightsaber soothers. Get Yoda going to Kashyyyk, the Wookiee planet. Yeah. Down the track in the film. And it's just kind of like a lot of CGI backdrops once again. Clearly, they have not really learned the lessons. Apparently, they used a lot of models in this one. But they're hard to see. Yeah. Because they cover them up with shitty CGI, I think.
They would.
In the scenes and stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, I do get a sense that this one definitely does look better in a lot of places, but that's because you're comparing them to the other two.
Yeah. But, and technology will be evolving as well.
Yeah.
They'll be learning from their mistakes. And
you can definitely see, like, an improvement, but... Yeah. These days, 10 years later, or 15 years later,
there's still stages where you're like, oh, that's not
nasty. Yeah, that's a very amateur-y sort of look now. Like, video games look better than that now.
Yeah, I every time I see Yoda, I cringe.
Yeah, it's got that full uncanny valley thing going on big
like,
time.
Mate, what's going on there?
He's just like, oh. He doesn't know what happened.
I was a puppet.
Yeah.
Walked into some machine.
Yeah, now I'm fucking pixels of shit. Shitty pixels I am.
I'm in the Matrix.
And it's just never paid off doing Yoda CGI. Like,
and they try to make him agile, and he's not agile. It's meant to just be... It's funny because in the same movies... that he's like holding lightsabers. He's walking around with a stick, a cane. It's like, what? Hang on, mate. What are you?
Yeah, are you?
What's the point of the cane, mate?
I think he's just doing it because he wants to claim disability.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay.
So he's claiming
Wants the
disability.
sticker on his car.
Yeah, he wants a sticker on his car. He wants to be able to park in disabled spots.
Yeah.
You know, he's sick of getting the fines. So this is why he's a Jedi to begin with, you know, so he can, you know, get these little perks.
Jedi parking.
Jedi parking. It's next to the pram parking, if you're wondering.
He tried that one first.
Yeah.
No one believed him.
Yeah, unfortunately. I am the baby. So yeah, you get Obi-Wan going after General Grievous, and Obi-Wan's got some pretty cool moments. He's riding the lizard. All of a sudden, he's like Beastmaster. You know, he's the one with the beast. And, you know, he's riding a big lizard thing, and he's like, "Wah!" And then he jumps down and takes on General Grievous, and General Grievous like has his lightsabers twirling out, and which I don't know what benefit that is for a robot that's not really has force powers. He just like kills Jedis or whatever and claims their lightsabers as trophies, and he's got heaps of them, and he's got 4 arms, and he's got 4 lightsabers, and he's like doing this sort of airplane thing, and it doesn't really do much because Obi-Wan's just like, psst, you know, with one lightsaber. And, you know, it's just like, it's all show. And then he, you know, the chase continues, and then he finally takes him out with a fucking pistol, of all things. Doesn't even take him out with a lightsaber. He ends up shooting his exposed heart, and it's just like, that was a bit anticlimactic.
Well, I mean, that's the contradiction between everyone's walking around with lightsabers, but if you've got a gun, it'll make life a lot easier.
You'd think so.
Well,
generally.
But no, we all have to battle each other with things.
With little light swords.
We're noble.
Yeah. And, you know, Order 66, you know, happens, which is, you know, the obliteration of all the Jedis. You know, they're all being hunted and killed by all the, you know, stormtroopers, clone stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And they all die in really kind of anticlimactic ways, especially one of the chick ones, one of the female Jedis. Like, she's really popular in the comics and stuff. Like, she was a really popular character. And the way they kill her off in the movie is just like, yeah, it's a big disservice to that character. And it looks really cheap and hokey, bad. And you get, you know, all of them just dying one after another. And it's just like, oh, yeah, okay. All right.
Oh, they're dead. Cool, got
it. They're dead. Got it. Cool, got it. I'm with it. And you get Palpatine. He's getting really pulpy. The Jedi's like, well, what do you call it? They apprehend him, or they come confront him. Samuel Jackson and his little merry men come and confront him, and they're like, "You're going down. You're the main bad guy." And he's like, "No, I'm not." Sort of thing. And then he like fights him and takes out all the Jedis in like one hit, and then he's like fighting Sammy, and Sammy takes him out, and then Anakin comes in, and Anakin sort of saves Palpatine and chops off Sammy's arm, and then Sammy gets thrown through the window. You don't know if he's dead or not. Is he?
Magical
I don't know.
Zappy powers.
And then Samuel Jackson, you know, comes back in, I think, Spider-Man as Electro. Because he's all like, he's like electricity man now. Nah. You don't know what happens to Mace Windu. Yeah, some people say that he survived, which wouldn't surprise me, but I haven't seen anything. Like, Darth Maul survived. Well, you know, getting cut in half.
The road is long. The future
is long. The future is bright.
In Star Wars case, not so bright.
Like, all this serious stuff that's happening, it's like, it feels serious. It feels pretty important. Like, when you sort of hear about it, or, you know, like, when you're actually watching it, you're like, it just doesn't feel important. It doesn't feel... I'm not feeling the stakes.
What would you put that down to?
Tone. You know, mainly the tone. It's just all over the shop. Yeah. And just the way George directs. There's just no sense of energy. Yeah. You know, if there's one thing that J.J. Abrams brought to Star Trek and Star Wars, is energy. You know, that's one good thing he can do. Yeah. Is really sort of bring that. And not just him, like Gore Verbinski for Pirates of the Caribbean. He would have been a great choice to direct Star Wars. You know, directors like that have like this youthful kind of energy they bring into their movies, and it's really zippy, and it's, you know, but it can have comedy and serious. Yeah, but there needs to be a fluidity to it. Like, you can't just have,
a random happy scene, random dark scene, all next to each other, mixed up all over the place. There should be a flow to the story.
Yeah, there should be a descent.
Really,
If you're going to have the light, fuzzy stuff, there probably should be a bit of a...
Yeah, and you can work it into scenes easy. Good directors can easily work in comical moments and make it work really well in films.
Yeah, like Pirates of the Caribbean, I suppose, or something.
Yeah, well,
like
I mean, that's right, because Pirates of the Caribbean is a pretty... there's some dark stuff going on there. I mean, it's still,
relatively
what do you expect?
Yeah, it's a Disney franchise, but
there's some serious moments. But then you can throw in a character that's not so serious, but it still works in the same context.
I mean, like the first one, you got the skeleton guys, and they got the curse and stuff, and it's quite dark, for kids especially. Like it's pretty full on.
The characters there were
pretty full on, and like that just works. That tonally is just solid. Like that is really solid. And Star Wars is not. Like it really isn't solid.
All over the shop.
It's all over the shop, and it feels like it. Even like just the way it looks and feels, it's all over the shop.
Yeah.
It feels like a fucking hodgepodge of different animators and different camps working on different things, and it's all just kind of thrown together. And
that's probably that seems like what it was like. And they got to the the stage where there's probably like 2 weeks left until it needs to go out.
Squeeze.
And then just push it. And it kind of feels like a little bit too ambitious.
Yeah.
On two fronts, too ambitious in terms of the scope and the size of the film, but too ambitious on the release date also, probably.
Yeah, definitely. Very ambitious, and I think too ambitious for George Lucas, someone that is not really a filmmaker per se, like he was. And I don't want to discredit him, but like I keep saying, he should have pulled in new directors like he did with Empire and Return of the Jedi, like continue that trend.
Yeah.
Why want to helm a series of 3 movies? Like, couldn't he just taken the assistant director role? The guy that's just sort of...
Well, new blood really helps any franchise. Look at Harry Potter. We went through so many directors.
That was one point I really wanted to make, actually, was Harry Potter, because that's one series that got better as it got along.
That's right.
Well, it really peaked with the third one, but, it kind of kept that momentum up for pretty much the rest of the franchise. And I started off like not really liking Harry Potter, and then the third one came out, and I was like, okay. And then I think it was the final when the fifth one came out. I actually saw it at the cinema, and I was like, I'm with it now. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
This is actually quite amazing because it's really dark and it's done in a really cool way, and it's just it's surprising.
And it's a simple story, but there's so much depth and detail within that simple storyline.
Yeah.
Which is the good way of doing it. Rather than having a complicated storyline.
Like Fantastic Beasts.
Like Fantastic Beasts is a good example. It's
especially the second one.
The point is you got to keep a central storyline that we can all follow.
Yeah, Voldemort.
And then without that, it's Voldemort versus Harry Potter.
That's it.
That's the whole thing. Voldemort wants to fucking kill everyone.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Everyone else wants to, you got good, bad.
Yeah.
Fine.
It's so clear, and that's what works. And then, I don't know, it's like with Star Wars, they were trying to bring in so much of the politics and, this or that, all these different elements that weren't really, like, it's cool to have that stuff in your movie, and there's ways to do it, but for some reason, it just didn't work in these films. I don't know why. I mean, I guess it's the script.
Yeah.
But... I think, new blood. It would have been new blood, You need like a J.J. Abrams or, they pulled in Rian Johnson or Gareth Edwards for Rogue One, Whoever it is, like, you need that fresh voice. Someone that can go, well, this is, that script is good, but let's make something cool. Let's make something that's actually going to look good. Let's make something that's actually going to make sense in a way that it's not a hodgepodge of different tones and feels. Like it's just like it's all over the place. And I mean, you get to the last bit of this film, for example, and Yoda's fighting Emperor Palpatine in that not throne room, but whatever, the chamber, and it's just like it's kind of strange, and it just feels weird when you're seeing Palpatine engaging in battle, just like Yoda, like both of them engaging in battle. They're just like throwing shit at each other, force throwing shit and force grabbing shit, and it's just like there's no tension there really because it's CGI character, an old man, and
It's all carry on.
yeah, it's just too much. And then you get to Mustafar, the lava planet, and Obi-Wan takes on Anakin here, and it's just half an hour lightsaber fight. That looks like, a full video game. It was exciting when it first came out because it was kind of like, whoa, this is really cool.
But like they got that new Star Wars video game that's coming out now.
Oh, it's out now, yeah.
Well, that's out.
It looks awesome.
The graphics probably the same.
I was going to say,
it's the same quality.
If not, it's probably better. Anakin ends up getting fucked up here, loses his limbs. Obi-Wan's like, I have the higher ground.
I find it so interesting they lose limbs, but there's like no actual
blood.
mess. There's nothing.
Yeah,
it's like they've been severed and sealed up at the same time.
Cauterized or whatever at the same time. Even though the first one, in the first Star Wars A New Hope, Ponda Bubba, the guy in the bar, gets his arm cut off and there's blood.
Yeah.
Yep. And never to happen again.
Then it's just like, the arm gone, okay, but nothing else.
Yeah, it's just
the flesh wound.
Oh yeah, full Monty Python. Yeah. How about you? I'll bite your ankles.
Yeah,
full Anakin style. Is like, whinging and whining still, and he's slipping down the slope, and he's starting to get lit on fire, and then he's on fire, and he's like, I hate you.
Yeah.
And it's like,
in real life, the guy would have been dead way before that stage.
It's like, what are you doing, mate? Aren't you dead yet? And everyone just leaves him there. He's like, you're my best friend. I loved you, Anakin. Bye. I'll leave you to burn. Good on you. See ya.
See you, mate.
And he's gone. And then up Palpatine, Pulp Face comes down out of nowhere, and he's just like, you will be my Lord Vader. Sort of. And he just like picks him up, takes him up, fixes him up like Frankenstein, and he has that terrible moment where he's like, Padme died in childbirth and both the kids are dead. And he's like, no. That really bad no.
Insert no here.
Yeah. And then they used that no, and they took that no and put it in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
When Darth Vader picks up Palpatine and throws him down the hole, they actually slapped that in there.
Wow.
And he's like, no. And he does that, and it's like, oh my God, George, you really are fucking shit up. Why would you do that? Like,
no one says no. That? I want to see someone actually lose their shit. That's what we need.
Yeah. Did you see Rogue One?
Yep.
The bit with Vader at the end, and he's just like hacking people up and shit?
Yeah.
Could have been something like, or even Kylo Ren when he's having a tantrum.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
Of course.
That's pretty cool. Wow,
I want to see believable shit, not this fucking no.
Yeah, not this cheesy ass crap.
No.
Yeah. And then you get like 5-10 minutes of, not even 10 minutes, you get like 5 minutes of like Star Wars, because you get Star Destroyer, the Death Star getting built, Tarkin, Vader on the bridge of the Star Destroyer, and it's just all like, it's all happening. And then it ends.
The end.
And it's like, whoa.
There you go.
That was awesome.
Wrapping up the prequels.
That
well
was
done.
sick, But no, upon reflection, they're all kind of like, to me, they all just feel like the same. Like there's no better or worse. There's a couple good moments in each film. I don't know what they are, but there are a few little moments where I'm like, oh, that looked good for a moment.
Yeah.
Pause that. Or that design's cool. That ship's cool. That alien's cool. That sounds good.
To me, look, if I reflect, what I think it needed was to not be so ambitious. You can still have the same storyline that you want to have, but simplify it. Like, you can still have a fight, but it doesn't have to be so much in your face. Just bring it back to the basics. We'll still enjoy the film. And the other thing is, I think the scripts weren't there.
Yeah, the scripts
weren't ready.
And like, even on the documentary, the documentary is actually better to watch than the actual films, because it is amazing insight into, George's process. And he was kind of like, he came out after he finished one of the scripts, and he's like, yeah, it's finished, yay. And they're like, oh really, sort of thing. And he's like, he come out and he's like, oh well, there's a lot of they fight and then it's like he didn't even like write the script properly. He's just like, let's just get this fucking thing done, sort of attitude. And that says a lot, doesn't it? Really, it's
Make
pretty
it
bad.
up as you go.
Yeah, and there's like heaps of moments in that documentary when George would be like talking and he's looking at all the other people around him, like the artists and you know, the other execs or whoever, and they're all just kind of like, oh, you know, they're like, they can't say anything. It's like their mouths are tied, their hands are tied,
Yeah.
and they just have to kind of put up with this frustrating.
Yeah. Don't bite the hand that feeds.
Yeah, they're just like, oh my god, you know, it was my dream to work on Star Wars, but this is a fucking nightmare, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And even in the final screening, like he's watching it with the producers and Ben Burt and a lot of other guys, top dogs in the Star Wars franchise, and they're all kind of watching it, and George sort of turns around and he's like, I think I messed up pretty bad.
Yeah.
And the producers there, like Rick McCallum, and he's just like, he's red. And he's not saying anything. And he's just like, he looks angry because he let George take control, and this is what he got in the end. And George is like, the problem is, like, I can't take anything out because, like, it's all the way it's been edited together.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is now. We can't fuck with it. And it's like, oh. So they knew they had a bad product going out. And we didn't know that until much later. I'm surprised they actually released this documentary, you know, with that much detail on
truth,
just showing truth. Like, they don't go out of their way to say it, but it's there. And that's stuff Disney will never release. Stuff I wish Disney would release, like the making of Rogue One and Last Jedi, and, you know, why they fired the guys off Solo, and you know, all that, and Gareth Edwards off Rogue One, they fired him apparently and brought in rewrites, whatever. All that stuff that happens behind the scenes, like, I'd like to hear about that stuff. Like, anyone, that's like the most interesting parts about these things sometimes, is the process. And when you hear a horror story like these, and you can see it, you can clearly see, like, there's a big difference in quality between the original trilogy to the prequel trilogy. Like, there's a massive difference. Like, the original, like, works of art to a degree, with all the effects and the groundbreaking stuff that they did at that time. And, you know, Harrison Ford and all these, you know, actors and stuff. Like, I guess Harrison Ford's the main one that really broke out from there. Everyone else got the Star Wars curse. And then you got the new prequels, and I guess Obi-Wan or Ewan McGregor's the standout guy that wasn't really affected career-wise, but so many other the actors in those films, Natalie Portman not so much, but Hayden Christensen obviously, Jake Lloyd, Ahmed Best, you know, Jar Jar Binks. You know, apart from the reoccurring Star Wars characters, you know, like C-3PO, those guys, you know, all the rest of those actors are kind of like, you don't see them in anything else, really.
Well, I mean, it's the same with George. You don't see him do anything.
No.
And I think that it would have helped him if he went out and did some other stuff and then came back to this with actually knowing what he's doing.
Yeah, like, I might have to test some things in other films, like, see if stuff works here.
Let's make another film.
Like, he's got producing credits, you know, throughout after Star Wars. You know, he produced Willow, fucking, what's the duck? Howard the Duck. You know, so many. Indiana Jones. You know,
absolutely.
And he even ruined Indiana Jones franchise as well with, you know, him and Spielberg, unfortunately. But, you know, George always has these crazy ideas. Like, you hear he wanted like a ghost story one, like in a mansion, you know, and, you know, that sort of, in a castle, haunted castle or something. That was George's idea. And then George really wanted aliens in the latest Indiana Jones, and Spielberg's like, I don't want to do aliens again. I've done plenty of movies with aliens in it. And George is like, well, interdimensional beings. They're not aliens. They're interdimensional beings. And Spielberg's like, all right.
Well, it's effectively the same.
He's like, all right, whatever.
Same thing.
That'll do. And yeah, I mean, Revenge of the Sith.
That's it.
That's great.
we finished up on a high.
Yeah, high note. Well, we got more Star Wars coming next year. Yeah. And they're all better than these three, to be honest. A lot of people debating that. A lot of people saying, like, Last Jedi is the worst fucking Star Wars movie ever. I much prefer the prequels because they did something new. So if you want to talk positives on the prequels, they were ambitious in ways that they were trying to expand the universe. They were talking politics. They were actually talking boring politics in this kind of story.
Well, it has allowed the future of Star Wars that we have today, because it added in all these new characters and all this new information, which now can lead into Disney's new.
Absolutely, and it's canon. Like, all that's considered canon, whereas all the books and comics from the 90s and all that were just shafted. They're like, nah, we're not taking any of that. we want this and that and this and that, and they sort of picked and chose what they wanted. In the prequels, unfortunately, they can't throw them away as much as they would have liked to, I'm sure. But maybe they'll remake them one day. I was thinking that the other day. I was thinking, if they were going to remake any Star Wars films, they probably should remake that period in the story, and it'd be, I don't know, I don't think they ever will, but who knows? It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that...
Maybe a TV show out of it.
Yeah. I reckon Star Wars, that's where it's at for Star Wars. Like, the film landscape for Star Wars is suffering, and it's not gelling at the moment.
Yeah,
really.
well, it's because they're such big stories they're trying to shove into a
2-hour runtime, 2.5.
So
and if it goes any more than 2.5, I feel like this is going on too long.
And I'm really enjoying Mandalorian at the moment. It's the right pace. It's a lot slower than all the Star Wars films. Well, the newer Star Wars films, which is nice. And
that's what I like about it.
The details there too, though. It's great.
Yeah, it is good. It's good because you're getting different directors, on each episode. You're getting cool aliens, cool planets. It's like doing the Star Trek thing.
There's actual character development.
Character development. It's really simplified. It's not trying to be...
Back to the basics.
Yeah, they're short episodes. They're not trying to be overly ambitious.
Yeah. It's
just trying to get this little pocket right. And they've done that, and they've won back a lot of Star Wars fans, I think.
Yeah.
So going forward, I mean, they were trying to develop a Star Wars TV show for years. Even, I think, either before or after the prequel trilogy, there was a lot of talk on Star Wars becoming a TV show. And that was so close to being made at one stage. And
we've had so many cartoon
so they ended up going off and doing Clone Wars and all those ones.
And that was George's big passion for a while there. He was like, this is great, this is good. I'm making so much money.
I hated Clone Wars.
Insert money.
Insert money from kids' pockets.
Yeah. Terrible
kids.
Animation.
Oh, cheap animation. Shocking.
You put so much, too much detail in the movies and not enough in the... Can't find the...
Where's the middle ground? Mandalorian.
Yeah. Well, that's not him anyway. So.
And there's a lot of things in Mandalorian from well, not a lot, but there's things in Mandalorian that are from previous Star Wars stuff, whether it's books or comics or even the Ewok films. Yeah. The Ewok films from the 80s, Battle of Endor. I've got those those two-legged lizard things that they were riding on in, I think, the first or second episode. Yeah, that's from fucking Ewoks, the movie. Everyone fucking hates Ewoks, the movie, but they brought them into this. And it's cool. Yeah. Because it's like, wow. And I was blown away by that because it's like attention to detail that people, I guess I wasn't expecting it at all. And you got heaps of cool little Easter eggs and stuff in the episodes. But, we'll talk more on this after it's finished. And
we've got a decent looking baby Yoda.
Like I was saying, it's full Gizmo from Gremlins. Yeah. It's got that same vibe, you know. Just needs to hum that little tune that Gizmo does, and voila, you're selling 1 billion plush toys. Yeah. And everyone was ragging on the Porgs. I'm just interested to see where they take it, Star Wars, after J.J. Abrams has wrapped up this new trilogy. Yeah. I know Kevin Feige's taking over to a degree. Yeah. So I think he's going to sort of rein them in and be like, they got to be very homogenized and very samey and very formulaic and maybe they'll do that for a while and try and get this sort of solid...
Yeah. Well, that's his thing. That's what he... But we'll see how it goes.
I mean, it could be for Star Wars' benefit, really. It could be, because I like a lot of the Marvel films. I'm like 50-50 on them. There's ones I really like, there's ones I don't mind, and then there's ones I don't like.
But at the same time, there's no denying that they all... When you see a Marvel film, you know it's a Marvel film. Yeah. But Star Wars, you can't say that.
Yeah, Star Wars is kind of off-brand a bit. Yeah. They kind of need to find what works.
Find themselves.
I'm not even sure Star Wars works that way. Yeah. I don't even... I've heard a lot of talk about that by guys that I listen to and watch and stuff, and they always go on about Star Wars is... The more you do in Star Wars, the smaller the galaxy gets. Yeah. Because it's almost like, I don't know, it's just kind of like that thing. That kind of, Whereas... something like Marvel, you keep exploring further and further out, and it kind of gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Whereas Star Wars, for some reason, started big, but it just feels like it gets smaller and smaller. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, last thoughts. I probably will never really watch the prequel trilogy again until my son is old enough to watch them and hate them.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, yeah, this is torture, isn't it? And I don't even know if he'll get into Star Wars by the time he grows up. Cause
Yeah.
that'll be fucking dinosaur shit.
It'll be interesting to see how Star Wars goes from
by
here.
then. Yeah. I mean, it used to be a sacred cow of a franchise. You know, back in the day, it was like Star Wars is the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's really lost that title. It's really fallen, you know.
Yeah.
Really has fallen Jedi. Yeah. But the
We'll
new
see.
game looks cool.
Yeah. Disney are definitely squeezing out getting their money back from their $4 billion or
$4
whatever.
billion? Was it $4 billion?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, Baby Yoda's going to pay for a bit of that.
Yeah.
All those soft toys and fucking merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what Star Wars is, and that's what kind of pissed me off in the long run.
It's
I
merchandise.
It's
Well,
just
that's
a
where they
fucking
make their
cash
money.
cow.
That's what they do.
think. Yeah, I know. That's what they
Kids
do.
will keep coming back to it.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, we'll finish up there.
Thanks for listening. Tell us your favourites. Tell us which one you hate most.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Yes. Adios.
Hello and welcome to Film Media. What?
I am your father.